Welcome to Guides.Global. My name is John Howell and I'm the editorial director. With me today I have Miguel Manzanares, the senior partner in Manzanares International lawyers based here in Marbella on the Costa del Sol in Spain. This is a very short introductory video to what you should be doing if you have invested in a development that fails. Miguel, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Sadly, over the last 15 years or so, there have been lots of developments in Spain and almost every other country in the world that have failed.
Yes, this is really the result of the recession.
Yes.
Produced that.
And you have written a guide to us about how to deal with this problem if it's in the Costa del Sol. We encourage our viewers to read that. This video is just about a couple of sort of preliminary points, really. First of all, the position in Spain is a lot better than it is in many other countries, isn't it? If you are part of a development that has failed, then in many, many cases, you will have the benefit of some sort of bank or insurance guarantee.
Yes, this is really an obligation that was really legislated long ago, actually, on 1968. It was approved, the law 57/68, that was really obliging to developers to provide security for every payment that they were getting within construction.
Of course, for many years they just didn't do it, but more recently they have been providing that security. They've been forced to provide that security, and the banks have been forced to honour the promises that they've made.
Yeah, at the moment I can say that almost I don't know any that doesn't really provide the bank guarantees. But
Yes.
A few years ago, you could even see some developers that even with the obligation of providing that, they were informing to the customer, what about if I reduce you the price of the property and I don't provide you with this type of security, of this bank guarantee? And some buyers said, yes, I want to do it. So that is really the situation that, thank God, is not a very common situation, because most of the developers provided the bank guarantees, but some of them didn't.
And over the last few years, how many developments that have failed have you been involved in where you've had to call in bank guarantees?
Many cases. I think it's almost 500 cases. Yes. In which we were having clients that bought properties off plan, that they were in the middle of the process in which the developments were not finished. Therefore, we had to cash the bank guarantees. We had to use the system. The bank guarantee at the end of the day, when the developer is not delivering the commitments or the stipulations of the contract, is working as a kind of a banker's draft. Yes. That you can use. Of course, respecting a number of requirements and respecting a number of formalities that you have to complete. You can go to that bank that was providing that bank guarantee and cash it. And that means that the 100% of the money paid plus the legal interest of the money has to be secured by this bank guarantee, and this bank guarantee is the bank who is cashing you.
So to that extent, for all of the developers that complied with that law, Spain is a lot better than countries such as Brazil or Turkey, if the thing goes wrong.
Absolutely.
Now, of course, there were some people who didn't comply with that law, and if you're in that group, what's the best advice? Act quickly?
Act quickly. I would say that the first thing will be speaking quickly, talking quickly with the lawyer. And I would say that the best principle to be successful with this type of scenarios is to be sensible, to be pragmatic. I know that in this situation it's a little bit more difficult to be thinking this way, because you are annoyed about the lack of commitment of the developer, and you want to, your immediate reaction possibly is going to be taking action against them. But from the pragmatic point of view, this is sometimes not.
They very often haven't got any money.
Not exactly. So at the end of the day, you have to realize that maybe there are a number of assets that they are there today, but possibly they are not there tomorrow.
Yes.
So the quicker that you act and you think about pragmatic solutions with the help and assistance of your lawyer, the better.
And does it help if you are involved in a development like that, that you get all the people together and work as a group to put more pressure on the developer that way, or are you better to do something on your own with your own lawyer?
That depends on the case. We can say that in general, yes, the group together is going to be putting more pressure. Sometimes it's not really the best way, depending on the circumstances. But in most of the cases, yes, I will say yes. There are some assets that if you react quickly, the developer is possibly willing to give away the land and part of the construction that is being done by having the good union of that group of in this case creditors, right? Customers that became creditors. You can possibly take it over. You have a bank that is willing to cooperate because they have one developer that went to bankruptcy, and they have possibly 40 families with 40 different incomes and a very strong diversity of incomes willing to cooperate and take it over.
This is not good public relations for the bank for that to happen.
Yeah, this is something that we can help. We could coordinate that group with to acquire the land, to take it over, possibly to be able to take over as well the finance from the bank, to introduce them with project managers or other developers that could help this to be happening. This is a sensible, pragmatic solution that sometimes could work. But the quicker that you act, that you think about solution and thinking with a cool brain, it will strongly help.
And when it comes to being pragmatic, I always think it's helpful to remind people that if the developer had finished their house and delivered it to them in, say, 2008, it would have lost 50% of its value. So we're not in a position where you say, I want my 300,000 euros back, plus I want interest, plus I want compensation, plus I want that. If you get back half or 60% of the money that you paid, you are as well off as you would have been if you'd taken delivery of the house.
Yeah, absolutely. And then once you recuperate that property, you realize that possibly at the moment that you finally get that property, the value of that property at that moment in time, it could be 30 or 40% less than what you paid. But we have learned that with the pass of the time, the prices
will go up.
Yes. And then therefore that 30 or 40% loss that you have temporary could be a profit, could be a capital gain in future.
In 5 years' time or 10 years' time.
Exactly. So it's really more pragmatic, sensible, clever to do that way, rather than asking compensations, illegal interest, fines, and the money back to a developer that has proven to be in bankruptcy.
Yes. Miguel, thank you very much. We hope you found that useful. Please do read the full guide to how to deal with failed developments, and look also at some of our other guides at www.Guides.Global. There'll be links to them in this video. There's also a link to Miguel at his office if you want to make contact for any reason. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.